Because that's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to check out LSU Daily, presented by Tecovas. It's a daily podcast covering all things LSU. If you want news, headlines, topics, and opinions on the LSU Tigers, we got you covered every single weekday on LSU Daily, presented by Tecovas. So
now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. It means we're brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We're fired up you're here with us. Thanks for starting your work week. Hope it's off to a good start. Got some Saints sound from Dennis Allen at 1:15. Glen West going to join us at 1:30 to talk some Tigers. Helps when I mute my own computer that's playing the sound over the microphone. Meet the freshman at 2 o'clock, and we'll get to Sharie Shack at 2:30. Talk a little black and gold. So we're wall-to-wall Saints and LSU football today, and fired up to be here. I was out at practice again today and wanted to kind of give my thoughts, kind of empty the old notebook, as it were. I kind of got some attention yesterday for my takes on the defensive backs, and that's good. We're here to have people pay attention. And there are some dissenting opinions, some people that are terrified by what I had to say. I stand by what I've seen for a week and a half of practice to this point. I think that the wide receivers have gotten the better of the defensive backs far more often than I'd like to see it. But by all accounts, including some of my own yesterday, I said when they get to 11 on 11, things have been a little bit better. So we'll get to a little bit more of the corners, the safeties, the wide receivers, but I kind of have some talking points to hit in order of importance today. So let's just kind of roll through the old notebook, shall we? Today was a day they were in shells. They were not in full pads. And while there was some contact, it was not just walkthrough. There was some contact. It was a little bit of a lighter day in terms of the contact. I think it was more assignment-based. The defense was doing a lot of making sure they had their assignments. The offense was working a lot of the time on air, specifically in the passing game. It was a little lighter day in terms of physicality, so that's something to note. There were two players that did have to leave practice because they got a little bit dinged up. I don't believe either one of them to be massively serious, but Jacobian Guillory and Jelani Watkins both had to leave practice. Jacobian Guillory was involved in a running game drill. It was actually a pretty good rep for him. He got into the backfield, but something didn't feel right in his right knee. He came out, immediately went to the ground. They worked on his knee for a little bit, about 10 or 12 minutes. He got up and did a little bit of stretching, did a little bit of high knees, then did a little bit of a bicycle. He didn't go back in, but he certainly wasn't, unable to put any weight on it or left practice altogether or got carted off or nothing like that. He just had to stop going through the full contact portions of the drills. Jelani Watkins, I think, got stepped on in a 7-on-7. He was able to come out and do some high knees, do some light calisthenic work, but wasn't able to go back and participate fully in practice. So I don't believe either of those injuries are going to be a massive story, but we did see them when we were out there, so I felt like it was necessary to pass it on. All right, let's get back to defensive backs. You heard me yesterday, very likely, and I talked about how the defensive backs have not, in my opinion, been great in camp. And I said in 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s on 7-on-7s, they've been very poor. In 11-on-11, things have been better. That's to be expected based on the nature of those drills. Well, today, they came out of the gates and had a really good period. There was 2-on-2s down there in the red zone, and my chart says that the defense won the first 6 reps. In fact, Joe Sloan said during the reps, hey, we got to start winning some of these, speaking to the offense. So that's a really good sign that the defense had a really strong day today. Doesn't change what I said yesterday because I had seen what I had seen through a week and a half, but the defensive backs did stand up and make some plays today. which is a very, very encouraging thing. This may have been the most interesting thing that I watched today because I had not watched this drill previous to today's practice, and I think it's something that will pique your interest as well as the LSU fan interested in how things are shaking out. We watched the running backs work pass protection against defensive ends, and it was an interesting lineup because the running back was down right near the line of scrimmage, just behind the actual line of scrimmage, not back in the backfield like in the shotgun looking to pass protect, actually up there close to the line of scrimmage, kind of pass protecting against a rushing edge rusher. And I thought Caleb Jackson had 3 great reps in this pass protection portion of LSU's practice. Major Burns came on a pressure, and Caleb Jackson stopped him. Xavier Adkins came on a pressure, and Caleb Jackson stopped him. And Greg Penn came on a pressure, and Caleb Jackson stopped him. And I noticed that all 3 times, Caleb Jackson really reacted to the pass rush wins. One of the things that we love to talk about with young running backs is, okay, well, how do they work in pass protection? Because you look at the highlight tape from high school, and you see the breakaway speed, and you see the agility and the make you miss, and you see the kick return touchdowns, and you see the swing passes and the screen plays that result in 65-yard touchdowns. And if you turn on Caleb Jackson's highlight tape from last year, you're going to see him trucking the guy on the left sideline against Mississippi State. You're going to see his explosive runs for touchdowns in the bowl game. You're going to see a kickoff return where he gets the left corner and gets up near midfield. And there's no doubting that Caleb Jackson's big and strong and fast and can carry the football and be an explosive runner in the running game. But can he do everything that it takes to be a running back? And I don't know if he's a great pass protector. I know he had 3 great reps today, and he cared. Sometimes you could see a running back, they're not really interested in this drill. Where's the football? I don't want to sit here and pass block. Will Campbell can do that. Emory Jones can do that. Give me the ball. But today, Caleb Jackson stepped up there and really did a nice job in pass protection. I thought Josh Williams was good in pass protection for the most part. And I thought John Emery had a couple of good reps as well. The defense had their fair share of wins. Whit Weeks had a great swim move to beat a walk-on running back. Saw a really good rep where West Weeks had a speed rush and got the edge. But to me, the story was Caleb Jackson in that he did a really good job in pass protection. And the more of those boxes that he checks, I think the better for this LSU football team, because the ceiling for Caleb Jackson is as high as anybody on that running back team, and it's probably higher. But the floor feels like it's lower for 2 reasons. 1, could be pass protection. 2, catching the ball out of the backfield. It's very clear when you watch the running backs catch the ball out of the backfield, which we did today on air. It was in a 1-on-0 situation, that Josh Williams and John Emery looked the most comfortable catch the ball out of the backfield. And Caleb Jackson doesn't. You know how you hear the term soft hands? Infielders in baseball, wide receivers, tight ends, real soft hands, a basketball post player. Caleb Jackson does not give me those vibes. It seems like he's got firm hands. And you saw him in the 1-on-0 routes. It's a thud when it hits his hands. And then we saw him in some 7-on-7, and on an angle route, he did catch the ball up against his shoulder pads. And you can see, like, he caught both. He didn't have any drops. He had a huge drop last year against Ole Miss. We know that. But he didn't have any drops today. But it just doesn't look as fluid as some of the guys that LSU's had out of the backfield. Now, look, Leonard Fournette didn't look like Jerry Rice out there catching the football. But they got it to him a few times, and he made some huge plays with it. So I'm not here to tell you that they can't throw Caleb Jackson the ball. I'm just here to tell you that I'd probably rather throw it to John Emery. But we're trying to check these boxes for Caleb Jackson as a running back so that he can stay on the field, so that he can get more carries, so that he can be more productive. And what I saw today was a running back that did a good job in pass protection and did what he was supposed to do in the passing game. Wasn't a work of art, trust me. I don't think they're going to put in any instructional videos. But he did do the job. And to me, that's big. I want Caleb Jackson to be on the field more. I want the coaching staff to trust him more because I think his ability is better than the other guys, and I want to see him reach toward that potential. Last thing, as I kind of clear the notebook here from practice, we talked about the fact that it was more of a mental day, a little bit less on the physical side. Tank and Jelani got hurt, but were okay. DBs very much better in 2-on-2s. Caleb Jackson, thoughts from running back. Those are the first 4. And the last one was looking at a little bit of the nickel set for LSU. And what we've seen in the nickel set is that you're going to see Jair Brown come in and play the nickel. Sage Ryan is out on one corner. Ashton Stamps is out on another. You've got Jordan Gilbert out there. You've got Jordan Allen out there. Major Burns playing the star. You get Jair Brown out there to play the nickel. You also get Greg Penn off the field. You move Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks on. And then they've got a pass rush package out of that nickel that's got Paris Shand playing on the interior, that's got Braden Swinson kind of playing a little bit on the interior, and then you'll see Deshaun Womack play at that spot on the outside. And I like that look for LSU. I like having more speed at linebacker, some pass rush ability, more pass rush ability on the interior, including kicking an end in Paris Shand down to tackle, and then having the ability to bring Deshaun Womack off of one side, maybe Braden Swinson off of one side and Harold Perkins off the other. It's a look that I think can create some issues for some less athletic offensive lines, because LSU is very athletic in that package. Got a lot of DBs on the field. You can bring them in different looks and show different looks in the coverage game. And then you can also bring a pass rush with some guys who have proven themselves to be pass rushers. We know what Harold Perkins is a pass rusher. We saw that. I think Braden Swinson in limited time last year was probably the best down lineman pass rusher. Now, Savion Jones will have his say, and he's going to play in these nickel sets at times. Braden Swinson will have his say. He's going to play in these nickel sets at times. It's not set in stone. They don't have one group that comes in there. There's been a little bit of in and out. But you've got some athleticism you can put on the front 4, front 6 that could potentially cause some problems for offensive lines. I have thought that the defensive front has played a little bit better than the back end of the defense to this point in camp, although today told a little bit of a different story because it sounds like the DBs had a good day, which I'm thrilled to hear, by the way. But I like the look on that nickel set with some of the guys that they can put down there to help rush the passer. So that's a look at practice for today. I have some more notes. Kamorian Pimpton had a really nice day today. Caught a few balls that he high-pointed in the end zone, one in an 11-on-11 period, one in a 1-on-0 period that he just showed the athleticism that he has. We saw some punting today. It's still a little inconsistent. We saw the punt returners back there today. Did have our first muff that we've seen in about 2 weeks of practice. Aaron Anderson put one on the ground, but no one else has since we've been out there. To this point, Xavier Thomas looks healthy after missing a little bit of time late last week. So some more things that we'll get to as we continue to push on here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Saints. Here's some sound from Dennis Allen. That's coming up next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments in the summer months. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place where you can find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the summer. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Finbom, Sushi Burrito, Poke Ramen, corner of Lee and Burbank. Wes Reynolds from VEASAN will be with us, and Scott Ravelet's back from the Olympics. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Yesterday, I kind of gave you my thoughts on the New Orleans Saints preseason debut on Saturday. I didn't think a ton of meat on that bone, no overreactions to be had, but kind of gave you some thumbnails on what we saw back on Saturday night. Dennis Allen met with the media yesterday on an off day before the Saints got back to work today, and he gave his thoughts on the first preseason game after watching the film.
I think after going back and looking at the tape, I thought there was a number of things that we did well. There's certainly a lot of things that we've got to improve on. I don't think anybody had any false notion about there's going to be a transition offensively, with a new scheme, some new players, new play caller. I mean, all those things are just part of the reality of when you have that much turnover. And so did we execute at the level that we wanted to on every play? No. But yet, to me, that's your first shot out, and hopefully as we continue to go, that the next time we get an opportunity to go out there and play under the lights, we'll be better in that situation.
Woo! That's some coach speak for you right there, DA. Did we do some good things? Sure. Did we do some not so good things? Sure. First time out there, we'll keep working and get back out there. Not much to that soundbite from DA, but he did say there were going to be some tough meetings and things that had to be coached moving forward into this week.
Today there were some tough meetings. Guys had to kind of come in with some thick skin and be able to accept the coaching. The good thing about our guys is I think they were able to do that and understand the corrections that we need to have made, and we started on that process today.
So they'll start on that process today. However, they will not have the week that they plan to have with the San Francisco 49ers, as it was concluded yesterday that San Francisco is just not healthy enough to go through joint practices with the Saints. I think most people suggest that that's the most beneficial thing you can do during training camp is to go through these joint practices, because oftentimes there's nobody playing in the preseason games, and these are probably your best opportunities to get some good-on-good reps against a different color jersey, against somebody that you don't play against every single day, and the Saints won't get that opportunity against San Francisco. I kind of thought it was a bummer, but I was curious what Dennis Allen would think about it just in terms of getting the team ready for the season.
I mean, obviously, we're gonna be practicing against ourselves, for the next 4 days, and I think we'll probably take some of that planned work that we had against the 49ers, and we'll take the skeleton of that and just utilize that to work against ourselves. But I really hadn't put any thought into how that affects anything else other than that.
But the question is, are you disappointed that you can't go out there and practice against the 49ers?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy, the joint practices. I think it's good to get, up against somebody else. But other than that, I mean, we're still going to get some good work here. So not really that concerned about it.
All right. Fair enough. He knows more than me. If he's not concerned about it, better for him. I thought it was a little bit of a missed opportunity for New Orleans, but we'll see. The good news, I feel like, is that the Saints are pretty healthy from a big picture perspective. Yeah, I'd like Kendre Miller to get out there and practice a little bit. I'd like Marshawn Lattimore to get out there and practice a little bit. I'm not really worried at all about DeMario Davis. But you also haven't had anybody carted off that has ACL surgery already on the schedule. Like, you're doing okay this far into camp. And Dennis Allen spoke to the health of his team after one preseason game.
For the most part, we did. I don't know that we had any, significant injuries. Normal kind of bumps and bruises and strains and things like that you come out of a normal game with. But I think overall, where our health was going in and where our health was coming out, I think it's, relatively the same.
Okay. So now let's look at what actually happened on the field in the game. If you were listening to me yesterday, I talked about the offensive line, which I did not think performed great, but I specifically mentioned Trevor Penning, and I'm about ready to wave the flag. I don't think someone who has such obvious poor reps every time out there is making the strides necessary to put any stock and belief into him moving forward 3 years into this thing. That's the way that I see it. We'll talk about Penning in a second. Well, we'll get DA's thoughts on Penning in a second, but I wanted to start with his thoughts on the offensive line as a whole in the game back on Saturday.
I thought the first play of the game looked like what I wanted to look like. I thought that was an outside zone where we got movement, we got push. I thought Alvin did a great job on his track, hitting it, and then one cut running. So, that looked like what I anticipate things looking like. I don't think the consistency was where we needed to be. I think there's some things that we got to keep working on in terms of protection. But, I think it looked like a first preseason game with a bunch of new pieces.
And he's talking about that first snap, that first outside zone. That's the only one they ran the whole time. We talked to Sean Fazan yesterday. They've been running outside zone for 2.5 weeks in Irvine. Outside zone, outside zone, outside zone. They get into the game, they run one outside zone. So you understand that's indicative of a playbook that's been vanillaed, to use a word that doesn't exist, for the purposes of preseason. But they did run the one play they wanted to see, and they got it blocked up the way they wanted to, and Kamara hit the hole, and it was a positive play. But they didn't really do anything else that they generally do in terms of motions, in terms of the run game, in terms of actual game plan that we're going to see from the Saints in that game. And that's not shocking. It kind of is what it is. But that doesn't change, to me, the fact that even it's just in simple pass rush sets, Trevor Penning seems to miss far too often. He may not even miss more than he hits, but he misses too often. And Dennis Allen spoke to the lapses in technique.
I saw some things that I hadn't necessarily seen out here every day in practice from a technique and fundamental standpoint. Yeah, and so I think that's the key is for all of these guys, and in particular, guys that are trying to establish themselves, is like you see these things out here at practice, and you see the fundamentals, you see the technique, you see the improvement, and then you want to make sure that you're able to kind of see the same thing in the stadium, under the lights, all those kinds of things. So I chalk it up really to a first preseason game, and let's see how we improve from here.
That sounds fine, but the fact of the matter is that you're not going against a first-team All-Pro. You're not going up against a Pro Bowler. You're not out there for 4 quarters. Trevor Penning was asked to play a quarter of football, and we saw too many lapses. And it would be one thing if you saw something in this preseason game that you hadn't seen in practices and he was a rookie. If this was Taliese Fuanga, well, yeah, he had a couple bad reps. That's all right. Big, physical, good feet. He'll be fine. He's learning. Trevor Penning is kind of still learning, but really not. Trevor Penning's been on this team for 3 years. It's time to be a consistent pro and starter in the NFL. And I just don't know if anybody feels like he is that at this point. And at this point in his career, both in terms of age and in terms of years in the league, he should be nearing I don't want to say finished product, but like kind of a finished product. Like certainly you can improve from age 23 on. But if you don't improve really any, by my eye, in 2 years, what makes me think the next 3 are going to have some sort of light bulb coming on moment? I just don't have it. If there was a hold here or there, or he jumped off sides, or something that was just so easily correctable, then I'd probably tend to sweep it under the rug. I just told you I didn't think there were a lot of takeaways from the preseason game. I'm very capable of sweeping preseason football under the rug. But year 3 preseason football from a first-round pick who's already been demoted from one position to another and already has bad reps in 1 quarter of football, like that's just tough for me to reconcile, put together, and determine there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. There's not. I'm thrilled to ask Sharie about this in the second hour, and we'll get his thoughts. And I think it's fine if they want to put Trevor Penning out there at right tackle again in the preseason game this weekend. But truth be told, like if it doesn't go well this weekend, I'm putting somebody else out there in the 3rd preseason game to get a look. I have to. You have to have a contingency plan for Trevor Penning. You didn't really have one last year, and you kind of created one out of thin air by signing guys off the street. I'd really prefer not to do that this time around. Maybe find somebody that's in your camp or is in somebody else's camp right now that can come in and play that's not getting off the bus in December. But I just don't think I'm ready to tell you that Trevor Penning's going to be a good player in the NFL. I don't see it at this point. So we'll see. Tuesday show is brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. Get on by, watch some sports on TV, win some gift cards tonight at Sports Trivia, 8:30 Nicholson location, drink some cold draft beer. Just enjoy the Tuesday. If you're looking for something to do, grab a team, come on out solo. Plucker's Nicholson location, 8:30 Sports Trivia. We'll have you out of there around 10 o'clock. Always enjoy our time over there at Plucker's on Tuesdays. When we come back, Glen West, Go 24/7, talking Tigers, The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Look, you got to visit LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino this summer for all the live sports action. Got the biggest screens around, ESPN Bets live in Louisiana, and we got the Cover 5 promotion that's ongoing right now, and it's a fantastic promotion. Pins Play Rewards members can win up to $500 in pin cash every single week. All you got to do is visit pinplaysports.com/Cover5 and register for your chance to play and win. You're going to want to get your feet wet with this Cover 5 situation before football season really cranks up. It's a really fun way to play and to potentially win $500 every single week. LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino is your live sports headquarters. You can bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Tigers and Saints back on the practice field. We'll have recaps, and Shea Dixon joins us for a recruiting report. It's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Turning right along here, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glen West, go 24/7 with us every single Tuesday. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how we doing?
Doing well, Hunt. How about yourself?
Doing just fine. Let's talk a little football. I think you heard my comments on the defensive backs yesterday. It was critical, but I stand by what I said. I think that the wide receivers have gotten the better of the DBs the majority of camp. Your thoughts on what you've seen from those two groups?
Yeah, I certainly think there's some truth in there. I mean, look, when we go out there and really one of the first drills we get to see is 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s. Today was a little bit of 3-on-3s. There's clearly a distance between the receivers and the DBs. I think that the receivers have done a really nice job in those kinds of drills, and it's a little bit of a catch up right now with the defensive backs in that respect. But I will say this: when they have gone to 11-on-11, it's been a different team, and it's been a different unit as a whole in some of these 11-on-11 drills. LSU's defense is actually not only competing, but they're winning some of these drills in an 11-on-11 period. Today they did a little 2-minute drill where the offense threw the ball on pretty much every play, but the front seven was getting some good pressure up front, and they were forcing some incomplete passes from Nussmeier in the first team. So I do think probably my overarching takeaway is kind of something what Matt Moscona said yesterday, which I thought I really agreed with, was the sum is going to be greater than any individual parts of this defense if it wants to be at its best version of itself. And I do feel like that's the case right now as we kind of watch some of these team periods, because the defense has been more than holding its own when it goes out there in 11-on-11s, and that includes the safeties and cornerbacks. So, very impressed from that perspective, but certainly when you kind of whittle it down and when it's just the receivers on the DBs, I think there's been a pretty clear discrepancy between the two.
Well, let's talk about some of the parts of the defense. If the whole is greater than the sum of those parts, who have you liked on the defensive side of the football, whether in drills or 11-on-11?
Yeah, I mean, I think I got to start with Davion Jones. I really have liked what he's done from a pass rushing perspective. He looks quicker out there. I mean, he's talked with us already this offseason about how he's improved his get-off speed by a couple tenths of a second. Didn't really think that just improving it by that short of a time would make that much of a difference when watching it on the field. But he's given Emory Jones, all he can handle. He's won a couple reps against Will Campbell. Savion has been one of the bright spots of this entire camp. And I think he's poised for a really, really nice season if he can keep this going. The other guy I would point to is Harold Perkins. I know that's probably not a surprise to a lot of listeners out there, but he looks very comfortable right now. I mean, he is all over the field, particularly in those 11-on-11 drills. He's batting balls down. He's getting into the backfield and creating some havoc and disruption back there. And he just really looks like he's playing off of instinct. And, one of the big things that I've always just kind of gone back to this offseason with Harold in particular is if he's playing off of instinct and he's not reacting to everything, this defense is going to be so much better next year just because of that one thing alone. Like I really, truly believe this defense can be much, much better if Harold Perkins is the kind of All-American, think first, act later kind of linebacker that LSU needs him to be this season. So he's done a really nice job. So those are the two. Overall, I would say the front seven has done a really nice job, and that's it's kind of helped and bleed into what we've seen in the 11-on-11s and helping the defensive backs out some too.
Let's talk a little bit more pass rush. You mentioned obviously Savion Jones. You've mentioned Harold Perkins, who's going to help with that some. Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack are guys that we've seen out there. Swinson a little bit more lately, and that he's out of summer school. What are your thoughts on their ability to rush the passer off the edges?
Yeah, they've looked good. I mean, I really like Braden Swinson. I would say I think it was his second practice back yesterday. He looked really comfortable. Did a really nice job of getting into the backfield. I think Parrish Shand is somebody that you're going to see kind of rotate a lot with Savion. And then kind of on that other side, you're going to see kind of a combination of, maybe Gabe Relaford and Braden Swinson and Deshaun Womack. I mean, I think those three are probably going to, control most of the reps on one side, and then you're going to have Jones and Womack or Jones and Shand on the other side. On the interior, I have really liked what I've seen from Jacoby and Guillory. Unfortunately, he went down with a little bit of an injury today. We don't really know kind of how bad it was, but he did kind of go off and limp off and didn't return. But Jacobian has been a force on the inside. He's done a really nice job of filling run gaps and making sure that the fits are pretty good on the interior. You've seen kind of a little bit of a rotation between Gio Paez and Jalen Lee. Sean Washington was getting in there for a little bit of snaps with the first team as well a couple weeks back. So they're still kind of mixing and matching on who's going to be there next to Jacobian. But overall, I really like the parts that LSU's put out there with the first and second team. And they're out there and they're competing and winning some of these reps against a very veteran offensive line. So that's a very good sign to me.
I don't know a ton about Parrish Shand as a pass rusher, but I can tell you that he doesn't beat Will Campbell ever. But I don't know if that tells me anything about Parrish Shand, because I don't think a lot of people are going to beat Will Campbell. But that's the straw he always draws in the one-on-ones, which is a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, look, Will Campbell is still, he's going to be an All-American this year if he stays healthy, in my opinion. I really, truly believe he and Emory Jones are one of, if not the best 1-2, punch at tackle in the country. And, this is year 3 for them entering their third season together. And we talked with Emory today about that a little bit, just kind of, what it's been like having Will Campbell there, for the last 3 years and you two being the starters. And, he just kind of really reminisced a lot and talked about just how, explosive it's been, with having those two, back there leading that group, and how unique it is to kind of have a duo kind of come up like that together over the course of their career and start that entire time. So, I think LSU's in very good hands on the offensive line. I don't want to make this sound like the defensive line is, completely beating the offensive line every single time, but I will say that the defensive line has more than held its own in the first couple of weeks. I think that's a very positive sign for LSU.
How big a loss is Mac Markway?
It's a loss for sure because of what he can obviously do from a blocking perspective. I think, just watching the first couple of days of camp, when Markway was out there, it really did seem like LSU was leaning into more of a Mason Taylor, Tamorian Timpton. When they ran out those first team, 2 tight end sets, that was kind of the consistent grouping that LSU went with for a few days there. I don't know if that had anything to do with Markway's decision to leave. It's just very odd timing. You hardly ever see something like this happen, in the middle of fall camp when a player kind of says I'm out. But I do think that he's somebody that, from a blocking perspective, will be missed. I do like the rest of the tight end room, obviously, though, with Taylor, and Pimpton's made some nice strides. And I'm going to keep saying it, man. I really do believe that Tre'Davious Green can be a piece that LSU can work in the passing game. I don't know that he's going to be a guy you ask to go out there and block on the O-line, but you can split him out wide. You can put him in the slot, and I think he can go make some plays for you in the red zone and down by the goal line.
Over or under on touchdown catches for Kamorian Pimpton and Tre'Davious Green combined 4.5.
I'll go under. I mean, for as high as I am on those two, and how I think they'll be able to factor in, I don't know that they're going to get that kind of those kind of looks consistently throughout the course of a regular season. I do think that a lot of their work will come in the red zone and goal line situations, which kind of raises the opportunities there a little bit more for touchdown catches. But I have a feeling that Nussmeier is going to be going to the glue guys, the Mason Taylors, the Kyron Lacey's, the Chris Hiltons of the world in those situations.
I tried to force you into the over, but you weren't biting on the bait. We've seen a lot of special teams over the last week and a half. Anything stand out to you there, whether it's return game or the kicking game?
Yeah, I think return game-wise, unless there's a big shocker here over the next couple of weeks, I would imagine it's Davion Thomas. He looks pretty clean. Don't see him dropping any punts or kickoffs. And he's somebody that can obviously turn up field and make some things happen for you. And that's something that LSU's kind of lacked there the first couple of years of the Brian Kelly era. I will say right now, if we were looking at the punter job, I think it probably would be Blake Oschendorf. I'm not sure. How competitive internally LSU thinks that position is right now, but just looking at it, it does look like an Oschendorf lean to me. Peyton Todd's still in the mix there. They still get him some reps out there, but Oschendorf took the majority of the punts today from what I saw, and I would imagine that that's the case moving forward because I do think that he's been the more consistent leg to this point.
Last one. We appreciate your time here on this Tuesday. Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback. We haven't talked a lot, or at least I have not talked a lot about him over the last couple of weeks. Have you had any takes on Garrett Nussmeier as he assumes the starting role?
Sure. I mean, there's been some throws that obviously Nussmeier would like to have back. He talked with us about it yesterday, how he honestly didn't want to have a perfect camp because he wants to see what kind of he can and can't get away with and, what kind of throws he should be making in certain situations. So I think he's been very strong overall. He's really dialed up and with these receivers on their routes and their timing and everything like that. He's airmailed a couple in the 11-on-11 drills the last couple of days. They haven't really gotten into a great rhythm when we've been out there. That's not to say that they haven't had some wins and stuff like that because I don't think we've seen everything that they've done in 11-on-11. But I do think Nuss has done a good job. He hasn't blown me away, but he hasn't been, awful or anything either. He's been pretty steady, pretty consistent. And I think that's kind of what you're hoping to get from him year in year one. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, I think, as he kind of gets into the meat of his season here, because he's a first-year starter. He's got one start under his belt, and I think you just need a little bit more playing time. You need to see some things a little bit more on the field before you kind of get to the best version of yourself. So I think that's kind of where I kind of see Ness going this year.
Glenn, we appreciate some time. We'll see you back out there at practice.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Hunt.
He's Glen West, senior editor, Go 24/7 for all your team coverage, recruiting coverage, practice reports. They got you covered over there at Go 24/7. We appreciate Glenn for giving us a little bit of time. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar. You know what's slept on at Pluckers? The sandwiches. They're slept on. The Cheech and Chong, fried chicken breast, queso, guacamole, tortilla strips.
The Larry Bird.
The Larry Bird is awesome, like the Hick from French Lick. Very, very good stuff over there. The buffalo chicken sandwich, which you can get in your favorite wing sauce. Like, I'm pro wing, I'm pro bone-in wing, I'm pro boneless wing, I'm pro boneless bites, I'm pro mac and cheese. Like, I'm pro a lot of things at Pluckers, but I also think the sandwiches are slept on. If you're looking for one of these delicious sandwiches and you want to play some sports trivia tonight, head on by Pluckers on Nicholson, 8:30 for sports trivia this evening. They bring you our Tuesday shows each and every week. We'll come back and close things out a little more LSU football. It's a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy, evolvept.com. Robbie Bolton, about 2 decades of physical therapist right here in Baton Rouge. Trust your body with the same guy that Anthony Renato, Mikey Matuk, guys like that, Austin Nola, that have made a lot of money because their body was in great shape. You can trust the same guy, Robbie Bolton, and the team at Evolve Physical Therapy. If you've been injured in a car accident, if you've been injured playing a sport, whether a youth athlete or an ancient athlete, if you've just got some lingering pain because you're aging a little bit, but you want to continue to be active, physical therapy can help you. It's dry needling, it's cupping, it's isokinetic testing that they can do to make sure that you're returning to strength. All that's available to you at Evolve Physical Therapy. Robbie Bolton told me this the first time we met. He said, once I see you, I will see you forever. That's the kind of experience that you get in the physical therapy world when you work with Robbie Bolton. It's not always like that. Sometimes some physical therapists can be a little hands-off. You're not going to get that with Robbie Bolton and the team at Evolve Physical Therapy. They're Starring near Highland Road. Again, that's on Starring near Highland Road. You can check them out online at evolvept.com. It's Robbie Bolton and his team at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Musco.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with
on Wednesdays, OTB. A countdown to college football continues. We'll bring you the latest from Tigers training camp, what most do the Saints need to work on this week ahead of the Niners game, and a brand new hour of Plus Stream. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
All right, closing up hour one here, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. A couple more notes that I've got from practice today, and wanted to specifically talk about one position group, and that's tight end. Mason Taylor looks great. He goes through all the drills first. He's physical. He catches the ball well. He moves well. He's the whole package, and he's going to be a really good player for LSU this year. The next two guys I think are a little bit more interesting to talk about because Mac Markway's moved on, so you really only have two other tight ends on the roster that are on scholarship. You've got Kamorian Pimpton. You've got Trey'Dez Green. Today, in the portion of the workout where it was just quarterbacks tossing to wide receivers with no defense at all out there, just running a little bit of a red zone route tree, running a lot of slot fades, some corner routes, doing a lot of that in the red zone. Kamorian Pimpton really does do a good job of going up to catch the football. And that's really what his skill set is. He runs well, not exceptionally well. He jumps well, not exceptionally well. But he has exceptionally long arms, and he's tall. So his ability to go up and make catches that are basically his catch radius is really big, and he uses it in these drills. And that catches my eye, especially when he does it in the 1-on-0 periods, and then they go to 11-on-11, and he did it again over a defender. That is what his skill set is. He's the three-point specialist. He's the power-hitting designated hitter. He's kind of a one-trick dude right now. Now, he's filled out a little bit more, and he's going to work on his blocking. And right now, he's the second-team tight end, and they do run some two tight end sets, and he's going to be asked to go out there and do some of that. But I don't know if he's a great blocker right now. But he's second up on this list, and I've thought he's had a good camp. There's a highlight you've probably seen from really early in camp. It might have been the first day where he actually gets tripped by a defensive back and still catches the ball on the ground. That showed me a lot of good hand-eye coordination, good hands, soft hands. I think Pimpton has looked really, really good in the pass-catching portion of the game. Trey'Dez Green is a bit of a project right now, I think. And it might come to this. It might come to this Nick Saban, Skylar Green thing with Jimbo Fisher, where Jimbo said, well, he doesn't know the whole offense. And Nick said, Jimbo, teach him one play. Haney tells the story all the time. Teach him one play. And they were up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they ran Skylar Green on a slip screen, and he went the whole way. Touchdown. They taught him one play, got him the ball, and let him do his thing. It might be a deal where in situations where we're looking to get 6 or 7 yards, whether it's a third down situation or red zone, tight zone situation, like Trey'Dez, here's what you know. Here's the route tree you know, and here's the matchup we like, and you're going to do this. You don't have to know every blocking assignment and every motion the tight end's got to do and how quickly you're supposed to do all that. And, there's a lot that goes into an offense, and you're new here. We get it. We got Mason Taylor and Kamorian Pimpton. They've been here a lot longer. They can handle some of that. But they can't quite do what you can do because neither one of them are 6'7", although Pimpton's close, and neither one of them jump even close to as good as you. So for those that have heard practice reports, read practice reports, seen practice video, and you look at Trey'Dez Green and you go, my God, get that guy out there first series, first play. I don't think we're there. They got to get him lined up. They got to get him understanding all the things that he needs to know. I think when he was in high school, it was pretty easy to go get in the slaughter out wide, go run somewhere, let the quarterback throw it up, jump over the little high school kid and make a big play. Be a 6'7" basketball player. Go do it. And you can't do that here. To an extent, he can be the best athlete on the field, and he can make things miserable for safeties or corners that are trying to deal with his frame and his size. But there's so much that goes into it. It feels like he's a distant third, but maybe a distant third that has a small package of plays. It's like, hey, this is what you need to do. Because we don't have anybody on the roster that can do this other than you, and they don't have anybody on their side who can defend it against you. So I feel good about the 3 that they've got. I wish they had 4 or 5. I feel good about the 3 that they've got. Taylor can do everything. Pimpton is coming along and showing the flashes of what he needs to be and what his skill set is. And Trey'Dez Green is just so easy to get fixated on out there based on his measurables. But there's more that goes into it than measurables. Maybe he's a lot better by the time November rolls around than he is right now. But I think there's some work to be done. So maybe tamp those Trey'Dez expectations down. I'm only going to ask you to tamp the Trey'Dez expectations down for 6 weeks. You got 3 weeks till the game, 3 more weeks. Maybe by the time we get past Halloween, I won't have any tamping down of expectations. But right now, let's just understand that he's probably third on this list. But LSU's going to run some 2 tight sets, and they're going to utilize that part of the passing game. And I've been watching, I've been encouraged by what those guys have looked like. A lot of balls being caught, a lot of high pointing, a lot of red zone targets. I like where LSU is at tight end, and that should come as a surprise to nobody who watched what Brian Kelly and his offense did at Notre Dame in churning out fantastic tight ends. So that's it here for a first hour on our Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Open things up with my practice report, what we saw today. Some Saints sound from Dennis Allen after watching Saturday's film yesterday. Glen West, Go 224/7 was with us. If you missed any of that, you can catch the LSU stuff at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. You can catch the Saints at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. And anywhere you find your sound, you can find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever you get your sound. You can find us, like, subscribe, rate, and review. It is football season. If you want your football fix, you can get it from us at the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll come back after Sports Center. We'll meet the freshmen. Still got some Garrett Nussmeier sound to get to, and Sharie Ishak talking some Saints 35 minutes from now. Hope your work week's off to a good start. See you on the other side of Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group. Love telling you about a new sponsor here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carbo and his team right here in the capital city. Whether it's commercial property and casualty insurance, whether it's group or employee benefits, the Highland Insurance Group can help you out with that. If you're a business owner and you've got insurance, but you're not real sure what's in it, you know it's expensive, but do you not know what employment practice liability is? Do you not know what crime or cyber insurance is? Do you not know what directors and officers insurance is? Or if you need it, you need a consultant on your team to make sure that your business is covered from things that can happen this day and age. The Highland Insurance Group is happy to handle that for you. If you're looking for a magic bullet, some kind of 20% property decrease or cutting your auto insurance in half, that's not necessarily what the phone call needs to be made for the Highland Insurance Group. If you're just looking for a consultant, someone to help you with your insurance, it's the Highland Insurance Group online at highlandig.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will undergo surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee. How long he'll be sidelined depends on whether the meniscus requires a trimming or complete repair. With McCarthy out, Sam Darnold is in line to start Week 1. Browns rookie defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. charged with domestic violence in Ohio after allegedly threatening a woman with a gun last night. The woman said she is engaged to Hall and shares an 11-month-old child with him. A day after holdout edge rusher Hassan Reddick officially requested a trade and was told by the Jets they will not trade him, New York coach Robert Saleh was asked about the situation and insists it is not a distraction.
It's a great opportunity for the guys who are here. You know, we love our D-line, we love our depth, especially at the DM position, and guys like Will McDonald, even Jermaine Johnson, Tack McKinley's getting a lot of run, so is Watts and McGregor and Clemens and Jalen.
Robert Saleh, Giant star rookie receiver Malik Neighbors said there is no doubt he'll be ready for Week 1 after injuring his ankle on Sunday. Testing and imaging confirmed no serious damage.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Wednesday, Trevor Lawrence got paid this offseason. I'll tell you if he can regain the crown as the best QB in the AFC South. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on this Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us, Sharie, Shack in 30 minutes talking Saints. Got some sound from Garrett Nussmeier we'll get to in 15 minutes. But got 3 days to go of our installment. Third time we've run through this because we've been on the air for 3 years now of Meet the Freshman.
Meet the Freshmen. Freshmen. Meet the Freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
We'll start in the defensive backfield today with Bernard Causey III, who is a freshman out of New Orleans, went to John F. Kennedy High School, and he's a guy that they added to this class, and I've heard Matt talk about this a lot on his show. If you're going to take 3-star DBs, 3-star D linemen, let's go fishing in the New Orleans well instead of the Las Vegas well. Let's go fishing in the New Orleans well instead of the Virginia well. And Bernard Causey is in the New Orleans well. He's a guy who played a lot of football at John F. Kennedy, also ran track for John F. Kennedy, ran in the relays with the 100, 200, and 400. And he's a 3-star recruit by all the services. Is high up as number 11 in the state of Louisiana by on 3. Illinois was looking at him. Ole Miss was looking at him. But inevitably, Corey Raymond determined this is a guy that I want in the class. He is tall for a DB at 6 feet, but he is thin. And this is very evident when you go out to practice. Bernard Causey, P.J. Woodland, and Michael Turner are real thin. I mean, they look like high schoolers at camp.
Yeah, I watched him play in high school last year, and he was very small. Like
yeah, he's
very,
thin.
Very thin.
And the same thing happens all the time when we talk about this. You go, well, Shard Robinson was thin and Tyrann Mathieu was thin. And that's true. But these guys are, it's noticeable. I'm about to talk to you about another freshman here in 2 minutes, and he's not thin. Bernard Causey is rail thin, and you've got to take some time to put some weight on him. But that's what the transfer portal is for. That's why you go get J.K. Johnson and Jair Brown out of the transfer portal to put some grown men out there. And you've seen Jair Brown working at the nickel and J.K. Johnson working a little bit. And guys like Wallace Foster and Bernard Causey are down the road a little bit. P.J. Woodland's gotten in the mix with the twos some. But Bernard Causey is thought of as a guy that they're going to develop. And Corey Raymond is really good at that. And if there are a lot of position coaches on this LSU team that I trust to develop guys. In fact, almost all of them. But Corey Raymond certainly deserves that. And Bernard Causey, I don't think, had any sort of illusions that he was going to come in and immediately be a starter on this defense. And I don't think he's going to be a special teams guy or much of anything for LSU this year. But he's a Louisiana kid. He's very, very physical at his smaller size. He runs well, and he's got some length to him. And that's what Corey Raymond is looking for. So our first freshman here in this Tuesday edition of Meet the Freshman is Bernard Causey. Our second freshman is Caden Durham. Now, Caden Durham, not a 3-star. Caden Durham, very much a 4-star recruit and a guy that LSU fought off some really, really high-level schools to reel in, mainly Oklahoma being number 1. He was listed as a top 10 running back by all the services, number 19 player in the state of Texas by the On3 Composite, and he played a really, really high level of football over at Duncanville. Led them to back-to-back Texas 6A state Division I state titles. He was the offensive MVP of the 6A state title game. In that game, he ran for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they weren't like 3-yard touchdowns. He was running wind sprints down the field in the state championship game. At halftime of that game, he had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was also the offensive MVP of the 2022 state championship game, had 3 more touchdowns and 100 yards in that game. He had, as a junior in high school, 36 rushing touchdowns. Now, part of that is because he's phenomenal, and part of it is because Duncanville is better than everybody that they play. They've had a pretty ridiculous run of players rolling through there. Colin Simmons comes to mind, certainly DeCorian Moore, and obviously you're looking here at Caden Durham. He's a track athlete. You're talking about a guy who ran in the 4x100 for Duncanville, consistently clocked in the 100 around 10.5. He ran a 10.28 in the 100. That is really moving, especially when you consider that he's built. He's 5'10", 210 pounds, and I think is the type of talent that LSU needs to bring in at running back year over year. There was a point here in the recent past that I didn't think LSU's running back talent looked like it did when you were looking at Jeremy Hill to Leonard Fournette to Darius Geis to Clyde. Previous to that, you're talking about Charles Scott and Keelan Williams with Jacob Hester and Trendon Holiday moving into Stephen Ridley, who was an NFL player for a long time. And then you had, previous to that, guys like LeBrandon Tofield, who was a pro, and Dominic Davis, who was a pro, and Joseph Adai, who was a longtime pro. And that's what the talent level should look like at LSU at running back. And there was a blip there where I don't know that it looked like that. And when you look at Caleb Jackson, and you look at Caden Durham, and you look at Harlem Berry, all of a sudden I go, okay, that could easily be the next run that I'm talking about when I go Hill, Fournette, Geis. That could be that. Now, they're a long way to go. None of these guys have Leonard Fournette's credentials. None of these guys have Jeremy Hill's credentials. None of these guys have what Darius Geis had as far as credentials go. But the talent level is really, really good. And so when you talk about Durham, the speed is obvious. He is a home run hitter as a running back. The question is, how much of that home run hitting is he going to do as a freshman? And my answer to that would be, assuming health, not a ton. Josh Williams is going to get a lot of reps. Caleb Jackson, we talked about a ton at the top of today's show. I think he's going to get a lot of reps. And John Emery's out there and looks pretty good. Every once in a while, he's got to go off to the side and fix his leg brace, and he's got a big one on there. But he looks pretty good. And I think Durham is very solidly behind those 3 guys. When you start talking about reps as a 4th-team running back, there aren't a ton. But running backs get hurt. And if somebody goes down, from a talent perspective, Caden Durham is able to come in there and give you some touches. I hope he gets the ball in his hand in space at some point. because I want to see him run. I want to see that kind of speed. If you want to see it, go look at the highlights from the state championship game I was just referencing on YouTube. They're very available, and Caden Durham, like I said, it looks like he's running the 100 meters in pads because nobody's touching him, and he's blowing by everybody. Looks like Sharie Richardson in that 4x100 final, where she kind of, even with everybody, decides, okay, I'm going, see ya. That's the kind of speed and home run hitting ability that Durham has, but he also moves real low to the ground, can shift. He's not just like Trenton Holiday, who you just kind of had to give it on end arounds and kickoff returns. Like he can carry the ball between the tackles. He can make some guys miss. He can be difficult to tackle because he's well put together. But the speed is the thing that excites me the most, and I'm hopeful we get to see a little bit of that at some point, whether it's some mop-up time carries, whether it's mop-up time kickoff return, whether it's getting a package installed for him where he can maybe get to the edge and show that speed. I'm in on that. I want Caleb Jackson to get a lot of carries. I'm good with Josh Williams as well, and there's a piece for this pie for John Emery. And maybe Caden Durham has to wait another year, and Josh Williams and John Emery will be gone. They're out of eligibility, and you'll have Caden Durham right there next to Caleb Jackson, and those will be your top two bell cow dudes. And I'm good with that. I think those guys have got a real future in purple and gold, but I'm excited about Caden Durham and what he can be, and I'm excited about the talent level that Frank Wilson's bringing into this room year over year. I think this is going to be an exciting group for years to come. So those are your two freshmen, Bernard Causey and Caden Durham today. That means only 4 left to go. Tomorrow we'll do Michael Turner and Kalaj Cobbins. Spoiler alert, Kalaj Cobbins looks awesome. And then we'll do Xavier Atkins and Dominic McKinley to close things out on Thursday. And that'll be it for Meet the Freshmen as we've gone through the entire signing class of 2024. All right, when we come back, sound from Garrett Nussmeier, LSU starting quarterback. We'll get to that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions here in Baton Rouge, avssla.com. You don't have to just listen to me say that audio, video, security solutions is fantastic. Listen to the Parade of Homes. It's a fantastic organization, operates here in Baton Rouge, allows builders and some vendors to show off their work. And in the Parade of Homes earlier this year, AVSS won Best Vendor. They had a showroom set up, some capabilities that they have, allowed people to look at it and kind of play with it, and they got unbelievable reviews, as you knew that they would, because they do fantastic work and their customer service is second to none. It's audio, video, security solutions, whether you need surround sound for your entertainment area, whether you need new television be mounted in a certain spot, indoor or outdoor, they can handle that. If you need security system put in with cameras and the app and all that kind of burglar alarm that goes with it, they can do that as well. If your home's Wi-Fi is struggling, they can install mesh Wi-Fi to elevate the signal all throughout your house. If any of that sounds familiar to you and you need an upgrade at your home or your business, audio, video, security solutions needs to be the first call you make. And when you make the call, you're going to be calling Mitchell Fisher, the owner, not some recording or some secretary who's out at a lunch break. It's Mitchell Fisher's cell phone, 225-439-7920, 225-439-7920. It's audio, video, security solutions online, avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Finbomb Sushi Burrito Poke Ramen, corner of Lee and Burbank. Wes Reynolds from VEASAN will be with us, and Scott Ravelet's back from the Olympics. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Get ready to make your pick for this year's college football pick'em. Pre-register now at 1045ESPN.com. Weekly winners will be entered to win a 2-night stay at Beau Rivage, and the first place season-long champion will receive a 75-inch 4K flat-screen TV and soundbar. It's the 2025 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em, and you can also tune in this Friday for Part 2 of the SEC Radio Network's Battle for Atlanta. It's a full preview of all 16 SEC football teams as they prepare for the 2024 season. Friday night at 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
The old Nuss Bus rolling along in LSU fall camp. The offense firmly under the control of Garrett Nussmeier now in his 4th season here in Baton Rouge. And Nussmeier talked about how different it is knowing he's the starter going through fall camp.
I mean, obviously there's a different dynamic going from being a backup to the starter. But, I feel like, it's just taking the same approach that I've always taken. Just trying to lead, be vocal, be an uplifting spirit, keep the guys going. It gets tough out there, it gets hot out there. We just got to push through, focus on our work and focus on our job. Coach Sloan's talking a lot about being intentional with everything we do and having integrity and being focused. Locked in focus is something he says all the time. So that's been the biggest thing for us, is just staying focused on our jobs, staying focused on our tasks and moving as one.
I saw an elaborate pre-drill handshake between Garrett Nussmeier and Emory Jones earlier today, and it struck me. Nussmeier very much connects with his teammates. He's very vocal. He's certainly the leader of the offense at this point. Will Campbell's got the number 7 jersey on out there, and he is as well. And I think Kyron Lacey's got enough skins on the wall now and is thought of as a leader in the wide receiver room because there's a lot of young guys there. And Mason Taylor's got his, and certainly Josh Williams and John Emery have been around a long time. So it's not just Garrett Nussmeier, but he is the leader. He is the quarterback. And I think about often just how different his demeanor is on the practice field now as opposed to what it was 3 years ago when we saw him first time. And he was running all over the place and slapping guys on the helmets and screaming in a joyous way, not like screaming at people like, what? Like yelling. Like he was just a ball of energy. And now he's still got some of that, but it's more of a professional demeanor. And that's not surprising. His dad has literally been a football professional for decades in Garrett's entire life. And so I think that it's expected that he would have that progression from young, jubilant, jovial, gunslinging rookie to seasoned veteran leader. I think that's an expected thing. Now, the interesting soundbite here was Nick Saban apparently said that Garrett Nussmeier was a dark horse quarterback in the SEC. Take from that whatever you will, whatever that means. But they asked Garrett Nussmeier what he thought about it, and here was his answer.
It meant a lot to me. I got to spend some time around Coach Saban, when I was really, really young. My dad was at Alabama. I ran into him a couple times in the building, getting to talk to him and kind of just see how he interacted with his players. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from that culture, at a very young age. So it meant a lot to me for him to say something like that. I thought it was really, really cool. As far as, do I like being underrated? I really don't care. I'm just focused on doing my job, being the best I can for LSU. That's what matters to me. So
I'm going to paint with broad brush here. I'm going to do it. It's not fair to put everyone in one bucket and everyone else in another bucket, but I'm going to paint with a broad brush here without giving specific examples, but I think you'll understand the point. Like, this is very much an era of me-first college football for players. You don't like where you are on the depth chart, leave. You don't like how much money you're getting, go find it elsewhere. And the players are empowered in that way. And like it or not, it doesn't change the fact that it is. And Garrett Nussmeier has kind of not fallen into that. I don't know if he has any NIL deals, what they're worth. I don't really care. That I've never really cared. It's just not why I watch the games. I don't watch the pros to see how much they get paid either. I just like watching the sport. And Garrett Nussmeier did not leave when his time was called on the depth chart. When he was down the depth chart, he did not go hit the free agent market to see who could give him a big check. And I just feel like oftentimes kids of coaches understand that there's a sacrifice that goes into being on a team here or there for everyone. That's a broad brush to paint with, but it just feels like that's the case when you know of a kid of a coach that's now in a spotlight. I felt that way when Kramer was at LSU, when he got passed up. He was the starting second baseman for a time as a freshman and lost his job. He didn't travel to Omaha as a freshman on a team that went to Omaha. Now he got hurt, but still. And he didn't just pout. He just worked really hard. And the same can be said for Garrett Nussmeier. And look, Joe Burrow did transfer. He wasn't going to play. He did transfer. Another kid of a coach. But you can't argue with his preparation and his demeanor and his professionalism and the way that he carries himself. And I can't point to every single kid of a coach that LSU's ever had or that has ever played at Arkansas or A&M. But it just feels like when you have that upbringing where, of course, the coach always thinks about team, and then you're in that household and that kind of rubs off on you, that you're not going to buy into some of the me-first stuff that goes on in college athletics. Just kind of my observation of that from Garrett Nussmeier. Now, this offense has been one that I've enjoyed watching throughout camp. It's had its good days and its not-so-good days, but Garrett Nussmeier spoke about what he likes about this year's offense.
I think we're a very, very close-knit group. I think we've really meshed together, very, very well from the spring to summer to now. And it's 3 weeks until the game. There's not much time left. And, I think we've done an outstanding job coming together, kind of establishing our identity of who we want to be. I think we're going to be explosive and very physical, and it's going to be something that's fun to watch.
Concern is not the right word for me when talking about LSU's wide receivers entering this fall camp. Concern is not the right word. Interest is probably the right word. Skepticism might be the right word. Let me explain. I look at Kyron Lacy and I go, okay, he was at ULL and he came here and was open sometimes because Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas were trying to be covered. Am I sure he's an SEC 1? I was skeptical about that. Chris Hilton hasn't done very much here. He's fast. He's always hurt. I don't know. Aaron Anderson, I thought was going to have a great year last year. Didn't really. Is Xavier Thomas ready to come in and be more than a kick returner? We'll see. I hope so. C.J. Daniels good at Liberty. Is he good at LSU? Maybe. Shelton Sampson, 2 big drops last year. Huge talent. Can he play at this level? I don't know. I had some issues with the assembled group in terms of what they had proven at this level. And now as I watch them in camp, almost all of that's been alleviated. I think Lacy's going to be a star. I think Hilton looks phenomenal. I think C.J. Daniels is going to be really good. Like, I think I've in the course of 2.5 weeks, my skepticism, based on what I have seen, has been de-intensified. What would you say there? It has not intensified. It's done the opposite. Has
eased.
Potentially, that would work. Just every once in a while, there's just a word that just doesn't show up in your brain. But you know what I'm saying? I feel a lot better about wide receivers. Now, Garrett Nussmeier talked about what he's seen from his group of wide receivers.
The whole entire wide receiver room has done an outstanding job this summer. Just as far as, how close they became. It's a different group, guys that didn't necessarily get to spend a lot of time together. We got a lot of transfers and things like that. But the younger guys have stepped up a lot, kind of, listen to the older guys. And the veteran guys have also done an amazing job. Chris and Kyron, and even CJ. Even though he's, new here, he's played, 4 years, three years, whatever, of college football already. So those are all experienced guys and who've played a lot of snaps. Same with, Xavion. And so they've done an outstanding job of just, meshing together, leaning on each other. They're always trying to get better. They're always competing, and it makes me feel good when you have guys out there that can make special plays.
I think that group's going to have a heck of a year at this point. I felt really good about DJ Chester after about 2 days of fall camp. He's had a few bumps in the road since then. Been a couple of snapping issues and then a couple of pass rush drill issues for him. But he's young, and he's learning. He's really physical. He's got a great frame about him, and Garrett Nussmeier works very closely with him every day and had this to say about his new starting center.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Obviously it's a challenging position. You're always thinking about different things and making different calls, and so there's a lot on your plate, and you always got to be, on all 10 toes. And I think he's done a really good job of, doing everything he's asked to do. And I'm really excited for him and how he's been able to, continue to get better.
Allow me to use a baseball metaphor here for a football situation. It's kind of how I function. But DJ Chester is essentially kind of being asked to hit second, and he's got like Dylan Cruz hitting in front of him and Tommy White hitting behind him. Like, hitting second's still hard. You got a lot on your plate. You've got to produce. You've got to be really good for the team to be really good. But he's flanked by some guys that are going to do a lot of heavy lifting and make it easier for him. You've got help from the left side of your offensive line. Dellinger, Campbell, great. You've got help from the right side of your line. Protection, if you will. Not Tommy White, it's Miles Frazier and Emory Jones. They can help you even if you have some issues. They're there to be your buffer. There's still a lot on your plate, but it's a comfy place to be. You don't have to worry about everybody else around you. You have to worry about what you're doing, and the guys around you are going to do a good job. And that's where DJ Chester kind of finds himself at this point. It sounds like Garrett Nussmeier is happy with his play thus far. I'm hoping that DJ Chester really takes another step and becomes an above-average player, bordering on a dominant player. And at that point, I think LSU could very well have the best offensive line in the Southeastern Conference, could push for a Joe Moore Award based on the decoration and the age of those guys. It's just very rare to come into a season and have this much proven on the offensive line. But LSU's got it. DJ Chester needs to slot in there and do his job, and then the Tigers will be pretty salty up front. Those are some thoughts from Garrett Nussmeier. If you're looking for LSU football content, you can always find us at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. When we come back, Sharie Ishak talking Saints. What do you make of the Saints' first preseason ball game and their win out in the Valley of the Sun? We'll do that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big issue in the bathroom, especially as folks age, whether it's you or someone in your life that you love. If you think the bathroom might be a hazardous situation, how about making it less hazardous? Let's go ahead and get the non-slip floors put in. Let's go ahead and put guardrails around the tub area, the shower area. Let's put a walk-in tub to make things more convenient and safer. Put a bench in the shower to prevent those slips and falls in the shower. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets do things like that all the time. If you've never really given that any thought, but there's someone in your life you think they benefit from having those type of situations in the bathroom, David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets should be the only call that you make. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. request that free consultation. Have them come out, say, here's my concern, here's what I'd like to do. They can put together a plan for you. They'll execute that plan, and I can promise you this, they're not going to get the job done, do it as quickly as they can, get to the next job, then come back and fix something 2 weeks later if something goes wrong. They will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. $1,000 off if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you there to David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. The website again, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana. Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Tigers and Saints back on the practice field. We'll have recaps, and Shea Dixon joins us for a recruiting report. It's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Saints back out on the practice field today in Irvine. They'll be there through Friday. Then they'll pack up, go play a preseason game on Sunday, and then come on back to South Louisiana to get ready for the opener. The final preseason game, and then the opener against Carolina. So it seems like a really long time in Irvine, California, but honestly, when you look at it, it's only about 4 weeks, and then they come on back and get ready to play a real game. So first game of no consequence was back on Saturday. Saints got a win near the buzzer there with a field goal to beat Arizona. Sharie, the Saints got the win. I'm thinking 17-0 is on the table. Do you think so?
17-0. I think we're talking about 20-0. Does that include, let's see, 20 or 21-0 if they get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, you can count the preseason games if you want to. 24, 25-0, whatever the case may be. I think they're looking like an unbeaten franchise at this point.
Yep, 23-0. There we go. Let's do it.
Did you take anything of substance from the game on Saturday night?
Well, the first team offense looked like absolute mess.
Yeah?
If I can curse on your show, I would, but I don't want to get fired on a Tuesday. And I understand that they weren't showing anything. They were keeping it vanilla, but not showing anything doesn't mean you still can't show me something. And I'm talking about preferably the quarterback and the offensive line. Trevor Penning is a mess.
Yeah.
I think we've continued to say that. Somebody put out a video, I think I saw it yesterday, that Trevor Penning just does not initiate the contact and does not meet the defensive lineman at the point of attack, which is true. If you're a mauler, I just want Trevor Penning to get back to his rookie year whenever he was a mauler, creating havoc, getting into fights with his teammates during training camp. I feel like ever since that, he's just gone backwards. I don't understand. But I will say that Trevor Taliese Fuaga played pretty good. Of all the offensive linemen, he played pretty good. And Derek Carr can't miss a throw like that to Chris Olave down the sideline. I understand he had pressure in his face, but even he would tell you he should have made that throw and hooked up with Chris Olave. But outside of that, I'm not going to make sweeping judgments about the offense because it's so vanilla and basic, but you still have to show certain things whenever you play in these games in terms of individual performances.
Well, let's talk about Penning briefly because I don't think this conversation is going to go on very long with him. But there's only one way for a guy who's 6'7", 330 pounds or whatever he is to end up getting bullied the way he does quite often. And it's the only way that can happen is if you let them bring the punch to you. If he delivers the punch, nobody's going to knock him backwards. That's just not going to. He's too big.
Right. You're absolutely correct. A guy that size should be initiating contact and not letting someone go for him. It's just like you getting into a fight, big dude versus small dude. The big dude should be initiating the contact 24/7 during that fight. You go after somebody. For some reason, he is playing the role of the small guy. He is just sitting back and waiting for the contact. Why? Go up there and be the mauler that they drafted you to be in 2022 and show them that you can actually be a decent piece at right tackle in that offensive line. Just a decent piece. But he's continuing to show that he can't do it. And that's not a great sign for Derek Carr if he can't play right tackle.
You've seen far more of A.T. Perry than we have, certainly in practice. The thought is that maybe not the best practice player, but then they get out there in the preseason games and he tends to make a play more often than not. Do you buy into the notion that A.T. Perry might be a gamer?
Let me go into TV terms. Some people are good at taping and some people are good at live. A.T. Perry is good at live, struggles during training camp practices. I am buying him being a fourth or fifth option. I'm not buying him being like anything beyond 4 or 5, but that's what you need him to be. You're not asking him to be the guy right next to Chris and Rashid, but I'm okay with him being in the 4 or 5. You just need somebody to get you 35, 40 catches a year at his position. So yeah, it'd be great to show it in practice, but if he shows it in the game, that's all that really matters. Some people aren't that great of practice players. Even Marshawn Lattimore at times isn't great at being a practice player, but he's awesome in the game.
Let's flip to defense then. Let's talk about specifically the front. First, Chase Young, was he, for that brief time he was in, the same guy you saw in practice? And then we'll get to Brian Brzee after that.
Yeah, I thought he was, for his snaps, I thought he played pretty well. I thought the entire defensive line played well. The pressure was magnificent from start to finish from all the players who played in that game. Now, I understand they were going against the second-team offense when they started the game and no Kyler Murray, but still, I thought the defensive line did its job for the most part. Bless you, if that was you who sneezed.
That was back.
But I think, bless you. So I just think that it was the defensive line did a good job. I do think Chase is, you remember, he's still coming back from the off-season neck surgery, but I still think that, if this isn't him at full potential, I'd be scared if I'm an offensive lineman when he's at full potential, because what I've seen so far is pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's been great. Brian Brzee, I thought, flashed on a couple of plays. Nice spin move to get back into the backfield. I liked what I saw from him as a rookie, and I liked what I saw in the abbreviated time. But again, you've seen more training camp than I have.
Yeah, Brian Brzee, he missed a few practices with that foot. He told me he had like a plantar fasciitis that he was dealing with, but he came back after missing like 3 or 4 practices and fine. I mean, he and Carl Granderson looked good. And again, they had the sandwich sack on Desmond Ridder, who, by the way, is not a good quarterback.
Nope.
You should know that by now. But yeah, Brian Brzee knows that this year he has to work on his run defense. That's the one thing that, he came into camp knowing that he had to work on, because a guy his size necessarily isn't the greatest at being a run defender, but he also was watching tape of Chris Jones and Fletcher Cox just to learn a little bit more about playing run defense. So, this is a chance for him to separate himself from his rookie to his second season in the NFL. The pass rush was fine for him. 4.5 sacks, I think that's a plus to get as a defensive tackle. But once you add in your run game defense, I think that makes you an even better defensive lineman.
Dennis Allen kind of downplayed the significance of missing the joint practices with San Francisco. You've also seen a lot of those in your day. I mean, is that a bad thing for the Saints not to be able to go through some of those workouts with one of the best rosters in the NFL?
Absolutely. Those joint practices are way better than any games you're going to play. And I think by now any person who watches football knows that is absolutely the case. You want to go against one of the best teams in the NFL in a joint practice, because that's where I think you learn who you are. And not being able to go against the 49ers, who for some reason are way more banged up than the Saints, which is crazy to think a team that has more injuries than the Saints had to call off a joint practice. I think Dennis is disappointed. I think the team is just disappointed because they like those joint practices. That's one of the reasons why they go to the West Coast, is to get some of those joint practices against, whether if it's the 49ers, the Rams, the Chargers, anybody. It's a disappointment not to have one of those joint practices this training camp. Now they're just going to go into the game and going against a team that's going to be banged up, which means Derek Carr and that offense, they're going to have to get a few extra series in this game instead of, maybe fewer series because they had those joint practices, but not the case. So they're going to play a little bit more, which they need to in this offense.
So that's my next question. I'm not saying what do you think Dennis Allen's going to do if you were the coach of the Saints? Like, how would you handle the snaps for a few guys in this setting? Who do you think this is an important game for? Who do you want to see out there playing?
I want to see Derek Carr,
Yep.
the entire offensive line, all your receivers that are healthy, all your tight ends that are healthy, all your running backs that are healthy, and I want to see them play 3 or 4 series. Point blank. You need time on task in Kubiak's offense. It's just not going to get better by doing it in practice. You have to do it in live setting when the red lights are on. So I need to see them play those guys 3 or 4 series, and they need to have sustainable drives, not 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And, you sit down and you're thinking, oh, well, we didn't show anything. That's fine if you don't want to show anything on offense, but you have to execute. Without executing, then you're not showing your fan base or yourself that you're, progressing in Glen Kubiak's offense.
Who do you think's going to win the backup quarterback role?
It was a really good game for both Jake and Spencer. I'll be honest with you. Each guy did something really good. Jake completed more passes. I thought both of them were good at getting outside the pocket. I enjoyed watching Spencer Rattler lead the game-winning drive at the end of the game. It's going to be close, hon. The one thing I say about Spencer, it started slow for him in camp, and it's trending upwards. And that's a good thing for a rookie. He's got the potential. We've seen it. Saw it on QB1 when he was in high school. Had those issues, the troubles. Then at Oklahoma and South Carolina, he's like a wild quarterback, gunslinger, can make some mistakes, but the arm talent is there. He's got some zip on his ball. So right now, I kind of give the slight edge to Spencer Rattler. That's just me.
All right, we shall see. They'll probably get a lot of time coming up on Sunday. We'll talk next week, Sharie. Thanks.
Anytime, Hunt.
Sharie Fishak, WDSU down in New Orleans, our NOLA correspondent each and every week down there in the 504. We appreciate a little bit of his time here on this Tuesday. We got one segment to go. It'll be Take It or Leave It on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical. It is storm season. We've been fortunate up to this point here in South Louisiana, but you know that the next one is always at some point around the corner. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing when that storm comes through, you don't have to worry about losing power. Whether you ride the storm out and want to keep power, or if you evacuate and want to make sure that you don't come back to a home that's 98 degrees, dark, and has everything spoiled in the fridge and freezer. It's not a very pleasant situation to come back to. Boudreaux's Electrical can make sure that's not the case. Neil and Melissa have been running the show at Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. They've got full-time employees doing their installation. Not somebody they've $10.99 to come out there and do it. And when they do the installation of that Generac home standby generator, They're going to make sure that it's done with the highest quality in piping and wiring, and it's done majority underground so that it looks nice outside of your home, as well as giving that peace of mind of knowing the power is not going to go out. You can call them at 985-397-1562. That's the number they've had for 40 years, 985-397-1562. Or if you're in the 225 area code and want to dial them up, here's the number, 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. Or you can ditch the phone altogether and go to the website. It's boudreauxelectrical.com. Boudreaux's Electrical Services, boudreauxelectrical.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
On Wednesdays, OTB. A countdown to college football continues. We'll bring you the latest from Tigers training camp, what most do the Saints need to work on this week ahead of the Niners game, and a brand new hour of Plus Stream. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
All right, one segment to go here. Reminder, Plucker Sports Trivia this evening, 8:30. Come on by, watch some MLB baseball, and eat some delicious chicken wings, eat some awesome sides, drink some delicious beer. Win gift cards. Bring a team out. 8:30, Nicholson location, Plucker Sports Trivia. We're there every single Tuesday. Hope to see you there. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. The Dallas Cowboys were valued at $10.32 billion in the latest valuation done by Sportico, Sports and Business Media Company. That's a little over $2 billion more than the second highest valued team at the LA Rams. No wonder Jerry doesn't care about winning. Take it or leave it.
I'm looking up my Chase bank account right now. Let's see.
Oh, come on, hon. You don't have
to. Yep, I'm short.
A little bit?
I can't get there
Okay.
to the 10.3 billy. I mean, maybe if I factor in my vacation days and I cash those out, we could think
maybe
about
your total
it,
assets,
I'm probably gonna have to look maybe at a lesser franchise. Maybe,
Yeah.
I maybe could afford the who's on the south side of that. What are the I can't think the Rams. Well, they got a new stadium, maybe.
Yeah.
LA. The Texans can't be worth that much.
Probably not. Probably on the low end.
But I can't afford the Cowboys. That's disappointing. But Jerry doesn't matter. He wants to win. He can't win. I always think in September they're going to be pretty good, and they're never.
I think their fans are like that as well.
Yeah. Well, most fans are. This
That's
time
true.
of year,
It's always
very,
the
very
positivity.
optimistic at this point.
Yeah. All right, next one here. The University of Tennessee and Pilot have reached a multi-year agreement to give Pilot prominent signage throughout Neyland Stadium and the playing surface. This is just the first domino to fall for major college programs. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'll take it. It definitely is. It's coming everywhere. You can't turn cash away. When you've got to pay athletes backwards to pay all those guys the NIL, and then you got to pay them now moving forward, and everybody's buying out coaches for $1 bajillion and in facilities arms races. Like, if somebody's going to offer you, what are we thinking, 8 figures here?
Probably.
To get this done, like, you're gonna take that. And like they said, we're not under any circumstances, Pilot said this too, looking to change the name from Neyland. General Neyland was the great coach and served in the military and deserves to have his name on the big old house of football there in Knoxville. But you're going to have Pilot all over the place and right there on the field. And I don't like that, but I'll live. I'm not kicking and screaming on this one. I'm kicking and screaming on the Cubs wearing navy pants.
Yeah.
I'm not kicking and screaming at putting a Pilot logo on the 25. I'll live.
All right, next one here. Hellman's Mayonnaise released a commercial earlier today featuring Titans quarterback Will Levis in a perfume/cologne style ad, with Levis sniffing a jar of Hellman's and aggressively eating a piece of bread with the mayonnaise on it. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'm going to take it. I think it's a great commercial. It's very well done. It's humorous. It's going to gross some people out, but it's going to get a lot of attention. I have told this story on the air before, and I'll tell it again. It's horrifying, but I will tell the story. You'll see where we're going here pretty quick.
Yeah.
But went out to the bar room in college once, had a few pops.
Yep.
Got back to the
A
old
few,
house.
huh? A few, just a few.
Had a few. Got back to the house. It was probably after midnight, 1 o'clock or so, and was a little hungry. So we boiled some noodles.
Okay.
And we didn't have any sauce.
Okay. Yeah.
What did we do?
You put some mayonnaise on
Put
the...
a dollop or two of mayonnaise in there and mixed it all up and ate the noodles with mayonnaise on it.
Wow. That's hard to fathom,
Look.
in my opinion.
College kids make bad decisions all the time. I made dozens of them, many dozens
That's
of them.
got to be in the top
That was
5.
probably one of them. It was probably pretty good based on my state and the fact that I love mayonnaise. There is no sandwich without mayonnaise. Mayonnaise has to go on everything. I eat mayonnaise on hot dogs. I love mayonnaise, but I don't really need to be eating it on noodles. That's
All right.
more than you need to do.
All right, moving on. Last one here. Brazilian soccer star Vinicius Jr. currently plays for Real Madrid, has reportedly been offered a 5-year contract worth $1 billion to play for Al Ahly by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the PIF as it's known. That would be $4.2 million a week. The Saudis are insane. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that for sure. I mean, I don't. The return on these investments is just atrocious at every turn. And I guess it's the long play to normalize their behavior outside of sports so that they can continue to invest the money, because maybe one day they won't be able to do what they're doing in oil and you've got to diversify what you're doing. And I guess they're smarter than me. But it's an asinine amount of money, all this stuff is.
Yep.
Graham McDowell's being a lunatic earlier. I forgot to put that in. Take it or leave it. He gets suspended for drug use and then takes a shot at the tour in his Instagram post. And now I don't I don't love all the stuff that they do. This is a massive amount of money.
Yep.
And it's
absurd.
It
is
I
absurd.
never heard of this guy, Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr.
Yeah, he is one of the best winners.
I would assume
in
so.
the
I would
world.
assume he wasn't just a replacement level guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Going to toss $1 billion at. Hopefully, if we're going to the $1 billion mark, we got somebody that can play a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just pump a bunch of money, and I don't know when it ever comes back. But the oil keeps coming out of the ground, and they keep selling it, and so I guess that's kind of the point there. That's it for Tuesday edition of Take It or Leave It. Open the show up today. My practice report, just a few things. A couple guys missed a little bit of time with injury. Jacoby and Guillory and Jelani Watkins, but both appeared to be okay. Defensive backs had a little bit better day today in the 2-on-2 period. Matt's going to talk a little bit more about that today. I really enjoyed Caleb Jackson in the pass protection portion of today's workout. I thought that was really good. If you want to hear all my thoughts on the workout, you can go to the top of the show or look at the Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Had some sound from Dennis Allen after watching the film yesterday. Glen West of Go 24/7 was with us at 1:30. Meet the freshmen, Bernard Causey and Caden Durham at the top of hour number 2. Some sound from Garrett Nussmeier. You can hear that at Hunt on LSU. And then Sharie Fishak talking Saints. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Anywhere you find your sound, whether it's Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, you can always find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly do appreciate it. On tomorrow's show, more LSU practice thoughts. There were some more player interviews today. I think Brian Kelly talks tomorrow. We got J.D. Piquel talking national college football. We'll meet the freshmen. And we'll also do What If Wednesday on tomorrow's show, so very much looking forward to that. Excited to get out to Pluckers tonight, 8:30. Hopefully you can make it out. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great Tuesday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service